I actually enjoyed watching this game a lot, even though both teams, it was kind of, on the surface, a really boring game, but it was a game about both teams being very timid, both teams being afraid to make something happen, and I think if the game had gone a little bit longer, I really think CLG could have won because they had very good scaling into the late game, and EG kind of failed to take advantage of their lead as quickly as they could have. They still won, they played it methodically and they won, but I think CLG could have made a comeback if this game had gone a little bit longer. So, more lag. And it was just interesting to watch this game because of how much sieging was going on, watching two teams that really know what they're doing sieging against each other. And so the last pick for CLG is going to be Ezreal, and yeah, Lucian's still available. I really think they should have picked Lucian here, because it synergizes well with Leona. That can be a very aggressive lane, and with the Lucian they would have had more wave clear, but of course Depalif doesn't like the Lucian as much, I think. And I think that hurt them for sure. So EG doesn't have a whole lot of wave clear, but they have more than CLG, and they also have, I love Kha'Zix right now. Kha'Zix is a really good champion because he's so versatile. He can take objectives extremely quickly with his isolation damage. He can take Dragon and Baron extremely quickly. He can poke if he chooses to evolve Void Spikes. He can play aggressively like a diver if he evolves his Q and his jump. He's just so versatile, and it's awesome to be able to, especially early on in the draft, like second or third pick, grab Kha'Zix. Your opponent has no idea what you're gonna do with it. You can go jungle, you can go mid. And they have to mentally prepare themselves for either scenario. And of course, there's so much poke. He has the wave clear from his Void Spikes. And it's really nice to have that. But what we're gonna see is EG just getting an early lead on CLG, and it goes pretty well for them. Basically, they get this early lead and then they don't throw the game. So I'm less interested in how they get the early lead as I am what they do with it after they get it. So let's go ahead and just skip forward to about 15 minutes into the game once we get there. I'm sorry for the low quality, it's lagging so much. You know what, I'm actually gonna stop the music and turn up the quality, because this is not okay. 144p is not okay. Okay, so EG already has a very large lead. What? 10-2, and the gold is pretty heavily in their favor, about 4k. That was actually CLG setting a pretty good gank up, and what happens is EG just doesn't quite have the ability to capitalize on it. CLG clears the minions pretty effectively, and because Dragon's not up, and because CLG is there in the mid lane to kind of stop anything from happening, EG just doesn't make anything happen there. So This is where that sieging potential comes into play. EG really, I think, should have grouped up a lot more this game. Because, you know, if that Caitlyn had been here in the mid lane, I think they really could have gotten some damage on that tower, if not killed the tower, which would have been, of course, very good for them. And hold on. Is my stream live? What's going on here? Because it should be on my followers for my other account. Live channels. Videos. Huh. That's weird. Why isn't it showing it? Anyway, support or feed gaming. Okay. Wow, am I not following it? I thought I was following it. But anyway. I just want to make sure that full screen is working for you guys, because it would be weird if it wasn't. Should have checked this earlier. Sorry. I'm sorry to stop in the middle of analyzing a game. I'll work out these kinks, and hopefully I will bring a much higher quality stream next week. Okay, so actually full screen isn't working. That's good to know. And in fact, you were probably looking at a blank screen for a lot of this, weren't you? So that makes me a little bit sad. But I'll figure it out later. Mostly what I want to talk about, I'll just keep it on this window, and I can do it without the full screen. So sorry for that technical difficulties. I'll work it out, and I'll have a much higher quality stream next week. Next week, gonna do this again. It's gonna be awesome. And I'll be talking about a topic which I have yet to decide about. I'm gonna actually watch the OGN finals tonight and decide what I want to talk about. So 20 minutes, that mid siege. EG eventually gets this shoved up, gets some damage, but of course CLG really effectively clearing this wave, realizing they can't afford to have this tower take too much damage. And CLG, considering EG's not grouping aggressively enough, does a great job of just extending this game as long as possible. So there's this siege in mid, and CLG's team composition kind of works out here, because EG not grouped up again, so they can just sit here, slowly clear the waves, and poke. And EG really failing to do much. Okay. So let's fast forward to 26:30, because not a whole lot happens in the meantime. Right, I can't go to full screen. Let's go here. This is good. So 26:30, CLG actually pushes this mid lane. They're like, they realize that what EG is doing is not not actually that good. CLG decides to group up in response to EG not grouping up, because this split pushing, if you look at the game state, in the last 6 minutes, nothing has happened. EG has accomplished nothing, and they've been split pushing the whole time. So CLG finally groups up in this mid, tries to get some kind of a pick, but Inox uses his teleport here. And actually, this kind of prompts EG to kind of finally do something good. They finally make a play on the mid lane because they were reacting to CLG. So it's a little bit sad that it takes that to get EG to group up, but they finally do. They finally take out this middle tower. And they actually, in this scenario, they get 2 towers. They have a big enough advantage, and CLG has low enough wave clear that just by sieging effectively, they get 2 towers in this situation. And what we'll see is another example of using the Thresh to get some extra hits on the tower with that Lantern, and we're going to see Inox tanking some of those hits to get extra hits on the tower. So like right there, Inox tanked a couple of hits, keeps the minion alive for longer so that they can... Sorry, I'm getting so tongue-tied, but it keeps the minions alive for longer so that they can get more stuff done. So, good play by EG in reaction to CLG's attempted pick there. And finally, they're starting to make some progress. But that's a really good siege there. Just showing like when they actually do group up, how effectively they can siege against the CLG comp, which really isn't equipped to deal with it. So let's go forward to 32 minutes. Not a whole lot happens in the meantime. EG picked up a dragon, which is the one thing that they did all game pretty effectively, is they secured dragons. But they decide to siege this mid lane. At this point, they're thinking about Baron. They have some vision control, and they can do Baron once they get control over the map. So CLG tries to engage on this, and the thing is, Snoopy is Olaf, and what are you going to do to an Olaf? Like, really? So he pops his Ragnarok, and they just turn it around completely. With such a large lead, there's not much CLG could have done here, but what you'll notice is Ezreal, Double Lift, has this Manamune, which he's charging up. And he's getting close to having that Iceborne Gauntlet Moramana build, that blue build Ezreal that everyone was talking about in Season 3. It falls off a lot in the mid game, and especially since the changes to tier, it's really hard to charge that Manamune quick enough, which really is why they lost this game, among other reasons, is that, you know, Double Lift couldn't do a whole lot because you actually see his Moramana finishes charging right as the game is ending. And until then, that item is kind of dead gold. That gold wasn't doing anything for him until he got it charged up. So EG, now that they've won this fight, they get the Baron. And there's not a whole lot CLG can do about it. I don't like, again, this is another weird situation where if the members of CLG, last time it was the members of Alliance, if CLG had been in a different position, Elise is a really good Baron stealer, and I think that they would have had a chance of pulling off a steal here, but Link, I don't know what he's doing. He like flashes, I guess he wanted to try and save Hotshot, but basically they just completely fail to do anything. Double Lift tries to get the steal there, but it's super late to do it, just because they had no vision. And now they're on the back foot, and that was all because of just some good sieging by EG. They managed to push out the mid lane, and CLG, at this point getting kind of desperate, decides to engage, and they just counter engage. And then with control over the mid lane, control over the map, there's not a whole lot that CLG could have done to stop that, other than maybe try to steal, but I don't even know if that would have worked. So, finally, let's fast forward to 37:30 and watch the last, there's one more siege in mid, and then there's the last siege of the game. So EG groups up mid, and Mundo pushes top.